Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting for the July 8th, 2024 Buxton Planning Board meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for Andrew Morrow of BH2M, doing business for Dearborn Family LLC. It's an application for a 14-lot subdivision, Pease Road, map 9, lot 23.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for BH2M Dearborn Family LLC.
Second it.
I have a motion by Craig and a second by Scott to open the public hearing. All those in favor? Okay.
Good
Good evening. Can you just give us a brief summary of what you're planning on doing?
Absolutely. My name is Austin Fagan. I'm here filling in for Andy Morrill tonight, representing Dearborn Family LLC. As it was stated, this is a proposed 14-lot subdivision off of Pease Road. Each of the lots will be served by private septic systems, drilled wells, and underground power and communication utilities. This project's been seen by the board a few times now. The last meeting was on June 24th, where they reviewed notes from a site walk that took place. Based on town comments, we provided the board with multiple revisions, such as widening the road to 24 feet, as was requested by town staff. We have updated the stormwater report to reflect those changes for the increased roadway width. A turnaround has been added for the gang mailbox at the beginning of the road. I believe it's an 8 by 50 foot turnout to allow people to get safely off the road and collect their mail. Our density calculations have been updated to exclude the drainage easement area for the wet pond from the density calculations, still allowing 14 lots. I believe the number came out to 14.9 lots are allowed on this property. Additionally, the applicant's attorney has provided additional information for the homeowners association, and the updated documentation takes maintenance of the open space into consideration, which was asked for by the board and staff. At this point, all existing and outstanding staff and board comments have been addressed from previous meetings. Be happy to have any questions from anybody from the public or from the board tonight. Do my best to answer anything you have for me. Thank you.
Okay. Keith, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Not right this moment.
Scott?
Yes. Austin?
Yep.
Hi. On lot 12, there's a culvert that's draining, I believe is part of the open space and takes it into the closed drainage system.
Yep.
Town should have an easement over that. It's not shown, and I didn't really see it in the document anywhere, so that in the future it needs to get replaced or it's plugged.
Sounds good to me. Makes perfect sense.
So I don't know what that'll do for lot 12. Looks like there's probably still enough square footage, but I just want to make a note so we have access to that in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I know it came up last meeting. I don't know if it was a decision by the board or not, but planting trees, I know we had a discussion about trees. I mean, the ordinance does say when the subdivision's in an open field, there should be some tree plantings. I know there's discussion about other trees along the road of Pease Road, but not, I don't think that's the spirit of the ordinance. It was more of the subdivision itself.
Okay.
I think we need to, Mr. Chairman, have some conversation about that, if that's something we're going to require. And then the other thing, I guess I'll just go on record, is that I was going to say, if there's any way of reducing some of the road curving, I understand why it was done that way. I will say it will add a burden to the town if the town does accept it. The town won't be able to just sweep it with a regular sweeper. We'll have to hire a street sweeper, unless they're gonna sweep it by hand, which I'm not sure.
Hold the mic a little closer to your mouth.
Sorry, is this better? Thank you. I guess that's just my comment on the closed drain. I mean, when it comes to a public vote, I'll probably be mentioning that it's just gonna be an additional burden on the town.
Okay.
And other than that, I think that's all I had, Ashton and Mr. Chairman, and like I said, we should probably talk about the trees.
All right, hang on. Roger, do you have any comments or questions?
Just in addition to the impacts on the town, just another thing that the town has to consider is maintaining the sewage lines and making sure those they'll have to clear those at the same time, probably being, but yeah, and it makes sense on the curbing too. Other than that, I don't have any comments or questions.
Correct.
I'm good for right now, thank you.
All right, how's the board feel about the tree issue? How many trees, where are they planted, where on the lots?
Is that for after the public hearing closes, decision-making,
Well, I'm just doing some discussion.
the poll?
Yep.
Sorry.
I think the way I read it is it's along the street, so it would probably be in the right of way. It doesn't say how many, I don't know.
So is that something the town's gonna have to maintain?
Well, it's probably like any other tree along the road in the town.
Anybody else?
And it's something that we should discuss or the applicant should ask for a waiver. I mean, it's part of the ordinance.
My only issue is it's fairly vague on where the trees go, how many trees are needed.
Correct.
Anybody else want to comment on the tree issue?
If it is something that would require a waiver, the applicant would like to ask for it, just to keep it in the existing state and not put any extra burden on maintenance of homeowners. But that's for the board's decision, I believe.
The question is whether we can we waive that? If we can or not.
What's the ordinance says, like verbatim wise? Like what's it? Because it's the tree for barrier. Is it specifically?
Oh, where?
You looking for it?
Yeah, I looked at it so many times today for other things. It was... I thought I wrote it down. Guess not.
Tell you when. Okay, we can move on to that. I'll take comments from any abutters. Yep, you have to go to the podium and state your name, please.
Phil Toronto, 34 Cornfield Road, which I think I am a butter B.
Yep.
So I guess my question first is with Austin, you talked about the open space and maintenance of the open space. So the open space that's shown there now, how wide is that?
Sure, yes. Or, I prefer if you go to the podium because people in the, watching could hear you. Thank you.
So this back portion right here, that's about 362 feet wide, and then it widens out as you get closer to the homes over here. In this smaller portion, that is, I believe, a 25-foot portion of open space.
Okay, so my question is this. You had to widen the road to 24 feet. So eventually, is there going to be another road put into that open space to get to that back property? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually what's considered a cluster subdivision. So all of this land is being dedicated to open space. It can't be developed at any point. There won't be any road back here. What is shown on this property right now with 14 lots is the maximum density for the parcel. So it's all that can happen on it, at least on this portion that they own.
Okay. All right, my next question would be, the issue I'm having right now are the trees. You want to plant trees, I want to cut them down. I have pine trees over 250 feet tall. I've had limbs fall off, 4 feet around. One just missed my well. And those trees are not my well, they're marked with the blue line. So I'll imagine whose property or who is responsible for those trees. I had them trim back what was hanging over my property. It cost me $4,000, but they're getting worse. The bigger they get, the worse they get. So I guess my question is, so who is going to be responsible for that wood line? Like, I'm not saying rip all the trees out, but the biggest pine trees, they have to go. There still will be a barrier between the houses. But I mean, these things are huge, and like I said, I've had one hit I have a small barn in the back, and a limb came down and hit my little lean-to where I keep my storage things in, and I had to fix the roof. So that's why I finally had them trimmed back on my side anyways to the line, but I can't do anything else because it's not mine. And I mean, I put $68,000 worth of insurance on the barn because it's a nice barn. And, I talked to my insurance company and they said, well, you just need to know whose property it is. So that's, I guess, is it the subdivision? Is it the person that buys the house and has it built coming back to me, or?
So with what you see there, the non-hatched portion that we talked about, that 25-foot strip, that'll be owned in combination with all 14 lots, so it'll be responsibility of everybody within the subdivision. If it is an existing problem right now, I'm sure it's something that can be addressed during construction. Without knowing exactly where the property line is, if it is blazed right now, it might be more or less a common tree like you're talking about. So it may be an issue to take up with the applicant prior to, moving forward with construction of the project. So,
Get that, Mike? Okay, all right, well, I'll let somebody else.
thank you.
Are you all set with your comments?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other abutters? Yep.
Michael McPherson at 26 Cornfield. I am A on the map. As the previous gentleman stated, I have a lot of concerns about the old growth behind me. We have extensive woodpecker damage, and black ants are starting to destroy these trees, and they're getting larger and larger, and they're at the point now they're going to land on our homes. And I don't see why, before construction begins, we can't eliminate these trees. There's still plenty of brush and growth between the new development and us. I would like to see these go. I'm sure he would. Other neighbors on the other side have the same issue. They would like to see these go. It seems like the perfect time if we're bringing in equipment to clear the lot. Why can't we get rid of these trees that are dying and becoming a safety hazard for me and my family?
Are these trees on the applicant's property?
They're on their property, yes. If I'm willing to stay here after and show them pictures of the property line and these trees, the condition of them, and where they are and how close they are to my home.
Okay. That's something that would really be between you
Yep.
and the applicant. That's something that we really wouldn't get involved
Okay.
with.
I just want this on public.
More of a
okay.
property issue.
Yep.
And as there being the primary property owner of that property, that entire property,
Okay.
and you being the property owner of your property on Cornfield Road, correct?
Correct.
That would be an issue that the two of you would need to sit down and talk
Yep.
about.
And I'm more than willing to do that. Thank you.
Other than that, you all set?
Nope, build away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just for the record, the applicant says they are, all right, Lindsay's willing to speak with you folks and figure it all out.
I asked, if we sit down together and try to figure something out.
Sounds good.
Any other abutters would like to speak?
Hello, Wayne Mello. I live on 29 Berry Road. So we have about lots.
Can you repeat your name, please?
Can you say that again, please?
My name's Wayne Mello,
Yep,
29 Berry Road.
okay, yep,
We have about lots 5 and 7.
okay.
And so I just kind of, I know, it looks like there's a buffer there between our property line and where the house is going to go, but I wasn't sure what that distance was.
It's right here. Right here? Right here.
And that one,
Yeah, so that is a 25-foot buffer right there.
25 foot. Is that standard, or?
That's standard, based on the ordinance.
Okay, so 25-foot standard based on.
And then you're gonna have another 40-foot rear setback to any dwelling units? So the closest a house could be to your property line would be 65 feet?
So basically 65 feet.
65 feet.
Okay, cool.
That's if somebody decides to build right at the very back of the lot.
I think they have a 15-foot side or rear setback. I don't think it's the standard 40.
It's not in the cluster?
Yep.
There is a 15-foot rear setback, but it is also 40-foot between buildings. So there'll be at least a minimum of the 40 between your home and any other home that
So
would be.
the property line? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Setback's 15? Thank you.
Another question, so
Sure.
we talk about trees, so is it possible to have any like trees planted along these property lines? I know they wanted this torn down for other reasons, but is there, just to have that, because, you know, I've lived in Buxton my whole life, it's been a rural farming community. We have horses, a bunch of people have horse farms around there, and we used to looking out at beautiful pastures, and we're not as affected as some other folks, but I didn't know if there was any way to have some trees put along some of these property lines to kind of as a buffer in the future, so basically we're not looking out at a bunch
Other
of
than the
houses.
requirement that we might have to put them down the middle of the road, there's nothing in the ordinance that says they have to
Okay.
put up trees.
All right.
You could talk to the property owner and see if they're
Okay,
willing to do that, or maybe the people that build the house want to put
Right.
trees there too as a screen.
So let me just say, because my husband's way too nice to say this, but
Yes.
I see that we're kind of the only, one of the few abutters here tonight. We actually didn't get a letter to come tonight, which is kind of surprising since we do own the adjoining property. Just a little bit of a disappointment we didn't get a letter to let us know of this meeting tonight.
Did the abutters on Cornfield Road get letters? Registered letters, correct? And the other gentleman, did you get a letter?
I got a letter, but I didn't get a map.
Okay,
Seems like somebody else got a map, and I got 2 letters.
okay.
Okay, well, we have a PO box where we get our tax bill, and we
Okay.
get that, no problem, but I'm a little surprised we didn't, just saying the tax bill
they may,
comes.
you may have sent it to the, registered to the 29 Berry Road and made a.
I would just like to say that again, my husband and I lived in Buxton like for a really long time, and it's a great rural farming community, and we need to develop, there's a need for housing, we don't dispute that at all, but I just hope that as we go forward and there's gonna be more development, and we can only, you're gonna approve it based on the bylaws and the guidelines, but there's also something that comes down to aesthetics, though, right? What is gonna keep us being the lovely rural identity of Buxton versus just another subdivision of Portland, or, I would hate to see us become like a Scarborough, right? It's just kind of a generic road. So I think this subdivision is gonna be what it is, but I kind of hope that as we move forward, that we have a plan. And a vision
I
of
do
what-
too. I
in the
lived in
future.
Buxton for 40 years. I remember The only traffic light was at Dory Hill.
Oh, yeah, I
And we
remember
took our garbage across the street and we threw it on the ground and they burned it.
And
So
change
we've come a
isn't
long
bad.
way.
Progress isn't bad, but I
Yeah.
think it has to be plain and meaningful, right? So we still have that identity of the community that people love, and those same people are gonna wanna buy and live into this new subdivision, right? There's a certain, they're buying into the peaceful rural community, and I hope as we continue to grow that maybe we just need to adapt a little bit and change, look at changing the bylaws.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other comments?
No, we're good, thank you.
Okay. Any other abutters who'd like to speak? Anybody from the general public like to speak?
Can
Okay, seeing none, Chair,
can I
well, I'm sorry.
I just want to put on record that the Public Works Director stopped by my office after a couple weeks of vacation to say that he prefers not to have catch basins. He prefers to have open ditches because it's less infrastructure, easier to maintain. We currently, townwide, have only 10 catch basins, and I think he said there were 10 in this subdivision by itself. I'm not sure if that's correct, but he really prefers open ditches. If the town's going to take over the road, we're going to assume the maintenance of all of that.
That's more of a major redesign issue that I'd have to address with the applicant. I know we have gone through the full design on this one. So the main reason that I forgot momentarily for the closed drainage system is that there can be positive drainage for all of these homes. By having the closed drainage system, you have somewhere to put a foundation drain so that you're not going to have to rely on sump pumps and any potential water issues. If there is a ditch along the roadway, it'll be 3 feet deep, and these homes would either need to be built extremely out of the ground in order to, well, which would look more than strange, I think. So more or less, this is a functionality issue just to make the property function as it should.
So if one of these drains is to fail, like say lot 135, up around that area, because it's all going down to the drainage easement, if that drain plugs on lot 5, is it going to back up the foundation drains to each house prior?
So each foundation drain is typically provided with a backflow preventer. That being said, yes, this system does require maintenance, as all closed drainage systems do. So if something was plugged, it would back up until it was unplugged.
This is just a question from my brain, and it's not reflected in ordinance, but would the cost of maintenance of that be something that we could calculate before the town takes it over? Do you know what I mean? It's hard to project out, that this drain's going to clog or this is going to happen because, I guess less trees, less leaves in the drain.
Yeah.
That's just some thoughts.
So I know this is more for Lindsay with Dearborn. I know this is more for when the town goes to possibly take the road over. And the town of Buxton doesn't have a lot of closed drainage systems, but we work in towns all over southern Maine with closed drainage, and the ADS pipe that goes in with the concrete structures and stuff, you can't say that it doesn't require maintenance. It potentially could get some debris in it and stuff, but it's pretty bulletproof. You guys really won't have it, plastic lasts forever. These structures are good. Yeah, the sumps might need to be cleaned out every couple of years, maybe not every 5 or 6 years. It depends on how much silt gets built up. But really, I don't know what it costs the town to do ditching and mowing and things, but I think they're going to have more yearly maintenance with ditches and mowing than you'll find for this storm drain for the first 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, and the plastic's not going to deteriorate. Nothing's going to happen to it. This is just something we deal with on a daily basis for all kinds of construction, and it's not really a thing that is a ongoing maintenance, other than silt that builds up in the sumps. So, just want to
Any other comments from the closing law? All right, so did we have a motion to close the public hearing? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Scott, second by Craig to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Okay. All right, do we find the section for the trees?
Yes,
Read
it's
that, please.
section 13-17. Let's see, it's on page 13-17 under section 13.5.L.1.B. When a proposed subdivision street traverses open fields, the plan must include the planting of trees. Period. It doesn't say how many. I would say planting of street trees, that would just be along the street. Unfortunately, it does say must.
So that's, I don't think we can waive that requirement.
I don't think so either.
Okay, how many trees?
If that's the case, one per lot.
On one per lot on each side of the road?
There's 14 lots.
We're talking 28 trees?
Nope, 14 lots, 14 trees.
Okay. On which side of the road?
Both sides, one in front of each lot.
Okay.
I'd be okay with that. That makes
Okay.
And just kind of stagger them however it best works, so they're out of driveway locations and.
But these are going to be in the public right of way? What are the trees?
What trees?
Sounds like nobody likes pine trees.
Well, I'll be open to that.
I mean, because we planted some nice trees around the pond up at Grove Hill, we picked them up.
So more or less, we can make a recommendation on a
Yeah.
caliper and
Yeah.
a type of tree for you, one per each, or one for each lot.
Yeah.
So can I just,
Yeah, if you're going to talk, you have to go
Well,
to the
that's okay.
podium, because people that are watching on TV can't hear you. And they get very frustrated, and they send nasty emails.
Jerry hears about it at his
Yeah.
home.
so we're kind of back to the, get rid of the trees for the best, add the trees. So it kind of sounds like it's a little bit subjective in the terminology. So
Yes.
if we could just review that again, because you're talking about open fields. There's a number of different places where there's open fields, right? It's not just within the subdivision itself, it's around the subdivision.
Yeah, it's,
It says street.
correct.
Doesn't
Says
say,
the planting of street trees.
Planting of street trees.
it doesn't say,
Does.
it doesn't say borders or boundaries.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so are we agreed on 14 trees that the applicants can select?
What did the applicant plant up to Grove Hill?
Off the top of my head, that was a few years back. I'm not positive.
What did you plant at Green Acres in the front along
Green
Waterman
Acres.
Road?
I can't remember, I'd have to go back and see what we bought, but they were just like a flowering tree. It wasn't something that was on the plans, we just thought it would look nice, and we went ahead and planted them at our own discretion, but we could do something like that. I mean, it's gonna take a while, they start, if you've seen them.
Yes.
You know, they're pretty tiny, but they look really nice eventually.
Yeah, I
And that
think
probably
mine's
would be
something
something that
hardy.
would be done towards the end of construction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did it at the
And
end.
you don't want somebody to plant a tree and then somebody come and clear their, I mean,
Right.
the majority of the lots are all in the field.
Yeah,
I mean, other than the cutting on Pease Road for the entrance, there's very minimal tree cutting, correct?
yes, correct. That's the only tree cutting other than, it sounds like we're gonna work with the residents on Cornfield to take care of those. So, but yeah, I mean, the trees on Green Acres look a little funny right now. They're like little, but eventually they'll be really pretty, so.
Okay, so we agreed upon 14 trees?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, yes.
Do we have any additional, the only
Was the easement for that drainage.
Oh, your drainage
That'll be
easement?
part of the we can make that part of the condition as well, I guess.
And a letter of credit for the final pavement of the road? Because you're going to build the road and you're going to put the first coat on, correct? Before you ask the town to accept it, correct?
Right, so that has to sit for 1 year.
Right.
And then we can ask the town, and then, much like Green Acres, we've
Yep.
been holding off
Yep.
so construction can try and finish. But I think we have to do the letter of credit for the full build-out. And then, just like Green Acres, we left it in place until we surface it.
Okay,
So-
that's fine. Okay, thank you. Any additional comments from the board?
No, the HOA looked reasonable.
Town staff, code office? Okay. Does the board have sufficient information to find the application, to vote on the application?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll read the standard conditions of approval for subdivisions. All elements and features of the plan and all representations made by the applicant concerning the development and use of the property which appears in the record of the planning board proceedings are conditions of approval. No changes from the conditions of approval is permitted unless an amended plan is first submitted to and approved by the planning board. 2, that the applicant be in compliance with all applicable provisions of Article 13. Number 3, notify fire chief within 72 hours before a fire tank is installed. Number 4, all outstanding bills paid before a permit is issued. Number 5, the other ones I had were the planting of 14 trees to be determined on each, 1 tree on each lot for a total of 14 trees
On the straight line.
on the town right away.
Yep.
Does anybody have any other additional conditions?
I think they've got everything else.
Okay.
Yeah, it would just be that you'll update the plan showing the easement for that.
Yep. And we'll put a note on there for the street trees as well.
Okay. I make a motion based on previous discussions, we found the application to be in compliance with all applicable provisions of Article 13. That's motion by myself, a second by Craig. All those in favor? It's 5. Number 2, a motion to approve the application with the conditions stated this evening and from previous meetings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Craig. Discussion, all those in favor? Okay. You're all set for now.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Jacqueline Allen of 74 Allen Ave, requesting, Jacqueline, I'm sorry. Application for conditional use for home daycare, map 2, lot 58-4. We had a site walk last Monday. I think everyone from the board was there. I didn't have any issues whatsoever. There's plenty of parking. There's plenty of access to Allen Ave. Roger, any comments, questions?
No, I don't think traffic's gonna be an issue. You got plenty of space for the amount of kids you wanna have, which is 5, so you have, 4 times that amount of parking space. Access looks fine. No comments other than that, no.
Correct.
No, I'm all good.
Keith, everything looked fine.
Scott?
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, that was on Tuesday.
Tuesday, excuse me.
The 2nd. The only question was trash. What are you doing with your trash from the daycare?
We don't produce that much trash. It's probably a bag a week. It would probably be like a bag a week.
So you'll just put it in a car and take it over to the...
Oh, no, we have our trash receptacles.
If you're running a business, your trash should go, you should pay, you shouldn't put it in residential.
Oh, okay, I
trash
didn't know
bin.
that.
I'm sorry, it's just because in that situation, any trash generated by the business should go to the transfer station and be paid for.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah.
I'll put you on your scout's honor for that, okay? Any other questions? Any questions from the code enforcement office? Okay, does the board feel we have sufficient information to set a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to do so?
Make a motion to set a public hearing for Jacqueline Adams, Lot 58-4, 74 Allen Avenue, for August 12th, 2024.
A second.
I have a motion by Craig, a second by Roger, to set a public hearing for
August 12th.
August 12th. Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, we'll see you on the 12th.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Matthew how do you pronounce it, Albert? For an event venue, map 6, lot 38, 590 Narragansett Trail. Evening.
Evening. In keeping with my promises, when I was up here many years ago and building my building and renovating the house, our whole goal here, to start kind of at the end, is to keep everything looking rustic, rural, and keeping things looking Buxton. So the old farmhouse, which is arguably one of the older houses in town, many years ago we renovated and fixed it up and saved it from the crosshairs of a bulldozer, and saved the whole lot from a subdivision that I know you guys dealt with a lot, but a few years back. So what we're looking to do, that old Hanson Farm, as it is called historically, which was a settled property before the town of Buxton was a settled town, we're looking to keep everything pretty much as is. We are looking to really, the biggest thing we're here for tonight is permission to host events and venues there. We've partnered with a local company who specialize in this. So I am not a planner or a wedding planner or a specialist in events, so I brought in the people who are. What this partnership will do is they will handle all of the coordination of the events, and I will handle the property aspect of it. And really, nothing on the property is really going to change except for continued improvements in landscaping. There's that old dilapidated shed out front that is going to get replaced with on the same footprint with a building for storage that's going to look similar to the one that's there. So really the whole idea is to keep things looking historically accurate, which is what we did when we renovated the house, even down to the historic windows and stuff like that. Out back, we have some of the fields that we've started to manicure per se, mostly in terms of how we mow and keep the vegetative growth there. And we're gonna, what we would like to do is just bring in tents that people can host their events under, and host their stuff there. So for the record, everything that will be brought in will be brought out. So, and this is really where his specialty is, which is why we partnered with them. So catering is haul in, haul out. We're depending on how many people are there, if it's any more. So the house really isn't going to be used, just for clarity. The house will be used to house the up to 14 people that it sleeps. And other than that, the house is kind of not associated with it. People will not be allowed inside unless they are staying there. People will not be in and out using the restrooms. And all other restrooms will be brought in. We've bring in trailers that have their own contained restrooms and water. You just have to hook a garden hose and an extension cord up to it, and that's really it. All the wastewater is contained within the trailer or within the restroom, and then same thing for bar and catering. That's all handled by licensed professionals, and what they haul in, they haul out. So there will be no additional impact on the septic system other than normal house use, and there will be no other, dumping or runoff or anything of any wastewater or anything like that.
Okay. Questions from the board? I'll start with Keith.
So, you talked about the bar, so that's, what, is that like a venue that just comes in and they host just the drinking and then the bar leaves?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. They are
Almost like a food truck?
pretty, yep,
Kinda,
pretty much,
yeah,
yep.
okay.
So I kind of did a dry run on this last October. Some friends of mine wanted to have a wedding. They said, "Can we do it in your backyard?" I said, "Sure. Let's see what it's like." We threw a tent up in the field, and we had parking there, and they brought in a pizza truck. Actually, was their food. So just like a food truck. So everything was self-contained there. And what they did for alcohol was they hired a mobile bar service. That they bring everything in, including the alcohol. They operate under their license and insurances. They serve the alcohol. They're all trained to do so, and then they pack it all up and leave.
All right. Now, you said something about the tent too?
Yeah.
Is that gonna be a permanent fixture, or is that gonna be per event?
Per event. So the whole idea here is what we want to do is we just want to have the property as like a blank slate, intentionally, which is why we sort of intentionally are leaving it as is. That way, when you're planning your wedding or event, the tent industry is a big industry, and there's a lot more to it than even I know. But there are, in the wedding industry specifically, there are so many different styles of tents now and types of tents, and there's so much you can do there that's going to allow the people planning their venue to plan, to kind of pick and choose of what vendors they want to work with, and specifically what style they want, depending on the look and feel they're going for their event.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Scott?
How about bands, music? What's gonna be that?
That is also going to be sort of handled on a case-by-case basis, whether it's DJ or live music or both. And we're going to have specific rules in place that abide by the noise restrictions and decibel levels. Not that we really have neighbors, but still we want to make sure that from the property line, it's not a nuisance. And an end time of 10 p.m. We're gonna have a contract that these people will be signing, and that will involve the general rules of the property, including when the alcohol needs to stop, when the music needs to stop, when the guests need to leave who aren't staying on the property, and so forth.
Yep.
We have...
A special amusement permit?
Yeah, how are bands handled?
It's
I
a
know,
dance
like,
license
bars are
specifically.
inside, so it's usually contained. I know a few years ago they were allowed to go outside. There was a bar that was a little mile away from me, and could clearly hear the words of the song.
Special amusement permits come into play when there's the serving of alcohol and live music. DJs doesn't count for live music, which is processed through the selectman's office. And if you have an event that has both of those things, you would have to get an individual special amusement permit.
Does Flanagan Farm get a permit every time they have a wedding, the band?
No.
They're inside. I think that's the difference.
I don't
isn't it?
think,
We don't have to get a permit every time we serve every day, but like.
you don't have a special
You
amusement?
live fairly close.
I have so we're required to have a special
On-site.
amusement, a dance license, and a health license, but that they won't be serving. All that's going to be subcontracted out. But yeah, we still have to have a dance license and a
Goes
special
along
amusement permit.
with your
But
liquor
it's annual,
license.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
like I said, I brought along the expert here, so.
So every time a bar, my name is Fausto Pfeiffer, I own Main Venue Partners in Blue Elephant. So every time a bar has to pull a permit with every town. So for instance, the bar people that we use is called Spirit Beverage. Why we use them is because they work with the state of Maine. I am literally covered because they go by all the rules that the state sets forward for alcohol use at private events.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have to pull a permit. It is 5 hours. We won't allow any events to go past 5 because I personally won't do them past 5. Nothing good comes after 5 hours. And with the note to music, when the only reason you would have 2 is if they were doing the wedding ceremony on premise, then it would be a string quartet to play them down the aisle for 30 minutes tops.
Right.
A DJ would play for 5 and a band plays for 4. That's what they charge clients for. The 5th is actually the more expensive and they won't go for it. So bands only play for 4 hours. And when we're talking, it's wedding bands, not like rock bands that would play like the OC or the bands that play at bars. These are different. These are wedding
If the groom's
bands.
into heavy metal, you might hear some heavy metal, right?
So we try to choose people that actually are licensed, insured,
Yep.
that do everything on the up and up. We do not work with people who do this as a hobby.
I mean, Matt, your business pretty much abuts a wedding venue.
Correct.
Do you hear noise from that?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No. And I actually even, when I said, I call it a dry run, when I allowed some friends to host their wedding, I actually specifically, once the band was done and they put on like their just playlist music through the speakers, which was actually louder, I actually took a ride and I went and sat at the end of Pease Road, and then I went up to what is now the self-storage unit place, and I kind of drove around there at night and sat there and listened, and I was happy that I couldn't. My goal was to not piss anyone off while trying it out, and so I was trying to make sure that things were doing all right. So
As of now, you have no neighbors really to your west, right?
correct, yep,
And there's really no one behind you, correct?
correct,
And then you own the business to the east,
Correct.
correct? And then there's quite a space to Flanagan Farm.
correct, yep.
Okay. I don't have an issue with it.
I think it's a good thing to do.
I would just,
I know bands sometimes get carried away at night, and I am a butter through the woods that, can I just ask a question on this application? Current use says mixed residential / business. I don't know what that is.
Is that on, I don't,
What are you zoned for, what are you permitted to do there now?
well, so, are we on 8 or 10 for the articles?
No, you're on the
On
application.
the
Oh.
application page.
Conditional use.
First, I don't have.
Sorry, Matt, no, I'm just,
That's fine. So, right now, we are obviously we are in the business commercial zone. In terms of zoning, we have the business, my business next door, and that house, we just treat it as a residential house, as it has been for 300 years. So I think that's why I wrote that, because the old house is still there.
so I guess that's what I'm getting at. I know the board has stated that it's not. I'd like to get something that you are legally used that property for. I'm looking at, do we have a legal use for that? I mean, I thought the planning board a couple of years ago determined that there wasn't residential use anymore.
So there's been a lot of discussion about me and my property. A lot of it, from my understanding historically, has also taken place without me being notified and being present for those discussions. The time that I was notified and able to come and be a part of the discussion, we left that meeting with the understanding that similar to the other homes that are in that same area, because that house has always been a house and has been a house longer than Buxton's been Buxton, that we were sort of moving forward, treating it as a residential property still, trying to preserve it and preserve the property as one of the older farms in town, and not commercialize it too much. I know during a lot of those discussions, there were members of the board encouraging me to do something with it to commercialize it. And that's why I feel like this is sort of the best of both worlds, because we were still able to put a significant amount of time and money, probably more than we should have, into preserving the kind of the historic part of town there, but also something that will, hopefully bring more visitors and more taxes and people to the town.
Yeah.
So,
no,
and we did.
I agree, and I guess it's not really,
Can I follow up with
Yes.
a question?
Yes.
So when you say residence, do you mean someone's gonna live there full-time, or is it gonna be like an Airbnb,
So
short-term rental?
Currently, it is short-term rental.
So it's like, is it an Airbnb?
Yeah.
So we do have motels, hotels, and inns as a conditional use. Do you think that would cover him if he applied for that in that zone?
I think it would, but I think he could, and we might have to talk to town council about this, but the town did voted on to eliminate residential dwelling units in the commercial zone.
Motels, hotels, and inns are a conditional use in that zone.
Right.
So,
What I'm saying is residential housing in the commercial zone that wasn't there before is prohibited, correct?
Correct.
The question is how long was the house vacant before you took it over and renovated it? So if it was more than 1 year, then your grandfather status would expire.
So this was the discussion that we had previously.
Right.
And this was back in 2020, 21, 22, I can't remember.
22, wasn't it?
Something like maybe, it was maybe 21, 22, yeah. We left that meeting with the understanding that that we were moving forward based on the fact that we understood that we were grandfathered, that it is still a house, because it never was anything other than that. Now, I will say, the only legal notification I have received in regards to the property was when we first got this idea to host venues, I made a Facebook post sort of testing the waters to see if people were interested in it, to see if it was something that would even work. That Facebook post was very quickly screenshot and sent to here, and I very quickly received a cease and desist telling me that I was not to have any commercial venue there unless I came and did this. So that's about the extent of where we kind of ended up with that.
Well, I'll cut to the quick. Are you planning on turning this into a single-family dwelling residence?
In my opinion, it currently is.
Oh, we should probably look at those meeting minutes, because I know,
Yeah.
I don't think that was the board's direction at the end of that meeting.
I mean, in our stance, from what we understand, it is. So when we purchased the property in 2016, we immediately began work to the house and preserving it and fixing it.
The question is, how long before you purchased the property was the house vacant?
And that I don't know, because it was tied up with other issues.
If the house was vacant for more than 1 year before you purchased the property, grandfather status, and this is my interpretation, correct me if I'm wrong, your grandfather status would expire for the residential single dwelling unit in the business commercial zone.
So that information I don't know. I also am not sure when that
we
zone
can look into
changed.
it. Yeah. I don't have an issue with what you're trying to do. I just have the issue with some of the schematics of how we get there and to make sure that we're not doing something that is incorrect. How big are these weddings going to be? I mean, do you have a maximum number of people?
Current maximum, we set at 120.
And you can park 100 cars on the property?
Yep.
It would be 50 cars. If 100 people are invited, so let's say it's 120.
Yeah.
You're looking at 50 cars.
Yeah, okay. I guess we can see that when we do the site walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can bus too, I know.
Yeah, BLS, yeah.
Your neighbor, they bust, I mean, it's, all these wedding venues now, they have it down to a science, parking and access and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And now, you mentioned you were going to redo that shed?
Yeah, the shed that's there, that is sort of a dilapidated eyesore. The idea there would be to replace that with, I don't want to call it identical, because that shed wasn't technically a shed, it was an animal run-in attached to the end of the barn, which was attached to the carriage house, which was attached to the house. The plan is to replace it with a wood structure that is similar, obviously the same footprint and similar in appearance to what is there.
Just remind you of the design standards.
Yep.
Just follow that process, that something needs to come for us. Yep. I know you do good work, it's just,
Yep.
if anybody knows me, it's all about process. That's,
Craig,
thank you, Matt.
do you have any comments at this time?
Nothing really at this time. I'd rather do a site walk first, I
Yeah.
think.
Roger, you all set
Stuff
for
can be
now?
answered then.
Yeah, no, I think that the work you've done to that house is, that completely preserved everything. It was, like, I drove past it for years as you were working on it, and that was prior to any of my engagement in the planning board whatsoever, and also, for the record, I'm in a butter, so I'm directly across the street, with my project, but, I think that you would probably, it sounds like you have some help, and I think, a lot of questions will come up with the site walk, but if it means anything, you've improved that property quite a bit, yeah, the only thing I would say is, even though people are carry in, carry out, a dumpster.
So I have a dumpster at my business that we don't use nearly to capacity. I have a trail that connects the two as well. So that's what I currently do with all the trash that comes out of there.
Yeah.
So I just carry it over and put it in my dumpster, and that's on wheels and can move around. So
Yeah, as long as you're taking your disposal, it's not a burden to anybody. Yeah, no, I always look from across the street, but we'll see a site walk,
Patty, do you have any comments, or would you like to refer to your letter of June
I-
26th?
Yeah, I just have a couple. Some of the stuff in the letter's been responded to, so
Okay.
I feel like we should encourage the application of motel, hotel, and inns for the current Airbnb use. That would make it legal. And there would be no question about that use.
Okay.
The plan states that the parking is permeable. I just want to point out that section 10.7B3 requires all parking lots to be paved, but we do have the authority to waive that requirement, so there should be a request in writing to waive that if you don't want to pave, and with justification. And the only other comment is about the septic system. I know you said you're bringing in portable units for bathroom facilities. I just would ask that if it's not that we allow that, if we agree with that we condition it that only the residents staying within the house use the facilities in the house, and everybody else, and that's they'll have to maintain it themselves, but that system isn't designed for 100 or 120.
just for the
Events.
record, we Couldn't agree more. And we also don't want to foot the bill for a brand-new septic system on top of what is currently a brand-new septic system. So that is actually a specific item in the contracts that would be signed that only, and we actually even, if people were to stay in the house, we ask for a ledger of names of who is going to be there. We explicitly make it clear that people who are not staying there are not welcome in the house. And then also the house, it has a coded keypad on it, so it remains locked while the events are in place.
That means the couple can't even go into the house during the 5-hour event. So it is locked for everybody. And these trailers are fancy trailers, so they are air conditioned. You can put Oriental rugs in them. So everything is taken in and taken out.
What about the wastewater from the catering?
We create very minimal.
Okay.
So everything is cooked off-site and finished off on-site, and that's
Right.
at all 89 venues, including Flanagan Farm, actually. If everybody remembers Gail, who actually owned it first.
Yep.
That bar sits there because we created that when she first bought that property and
Right.
built that.
So
So we take everything in and out. There's very minimal waste, and when we do our own water area, it is actually taken to the bathrooms because they know before they're locked at the end of the night and put it to their, right down the,
Okay, thank you.
crazy.
Any other
They take it
comments
with them.
from Courthouse? Does the board, any other comments from the board? The board feel we have sufficient information to set a date for a site walk?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, when? Can do next Monday?
Which is, how about Tuesday?
Tuesday? What's the date?
The 16th.
Somebody wanna make a motion?
You wanna, would you be available that soon?
That'd be the 16th.
Be the 16th,
Somebody want to make a motion?
23rd. Does that work for?
Yeah.
Is there a preference for anybody? Are you guys, Matt, you available the 16th or the 23rd better?
16th works.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for a site walk, for Matthew Albrecht. Is that correct, Matt?
Close enough. Albrecht.
Albrecht, thank you. For application for conditional use of event venue, map 6, lot 38-590 at Narragansett Trail for July 16th at 6 o'clock, 6 PM.
Do we have a second to that motion?
A second.
I have a motion by Scott, a second by, who was that, you, Roger?
Yeah.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, so we'll see you
Wait a
next.
minute, time.
6
Oh,
PM.
6
Say 6
PM.
PM. Did I not hear that?
You did not hear that.
I was looking right at you when I,
Okay, so we'll see you on the 16th at 6 PM.
Just to clarify, so I can make sure I get it taken care of, the requesting to not pave the parking lot in writing, is that a letter we just email to you? Okay, I'll get that done.
Oh, you don't want to pay the parking lot, do you?
Correct, no, we don't wish to pave
Fine,
the parking
that's
lot.
okay.
Yeah, our whole goal here is really preservation.
Yeah, not a lot of 200-year-old farms with pavement running up to the door.
Okay, we'll see you on the 16th.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a pre-application for Kyle Estes for conditional use to do retail use auto detailing, map 3, lot 1-A-1 at 22 Ripple Lane. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Brian Berube, property owner at 22 Ripple Lane.
And Don Smith, I work with Brian in
Okay.
business. This is Kyle.
Kyle Estes, owner of Estes Auto Detailing.
Okay. So Kyle, can you go up to, so you're going to be doing the auto detailing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to ask you the questions, all right? Okay, and it's, feel free, they can fill in. Okay, Roger, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, not at the moment.
Greg?
None at this time.
Okay, you're going to be using the existing garage that is there?
Yes, sir.
And your detailing is inside, outside?
It is indoors.
Excuse me?
Indoors.
It's indoors. And you're using cleaners and vacuum cleaners and polishes and stuff like that?
Yes, all of my equipment is electric,
Uh-huh.
and all of my chemicals are all natural, residential approved.
Okay. And so your detailing will be done inside the building?
Yes, if needed on occasion, maybe outdoors, but it would be right in the doorway of the building.
Okay. And clients will bring their car to you, drop it off?
Yes, I have, sorry, go ahead.
You would detail it, and then they would come and pick it up?
Yes.
And do you deliver cars for clients?
In special cases where they can't get a ride, sometimes, but that's not the standard.
And number of employees that you'll have on the premises?
It would just be me. Sometimes I have a helper who's related to me, but it's normally just me.
Okay, because you should, for the record, ask for 2 employees, yourself and one other.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? I'll leave that up to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Hours of operation?
Normally the earliest is at 8 a.m. Latest would be 7 p.m.
And days of the week?
Would be usually Monday through Saturday.
Okay. Scott?
Will you be doing any body work at all?
No,
Just strictly detailing?
strictly detailing.
Washing vehicles, will you be doing that outside or inside?
A mix
Washing?
of, usually, it would usually be indoors. I have a mat that contains all the water, so there's minimal runoff, outside. And then I usually let it air dry, so there's not much to escape.
Have you been doing detailing long? Do you have a business now?
What was that, sorry?
Do you have a business now?
Yeah, I've been doing it out of my driveway for a while. Currently, I have a place in New Gloucester. But since my junior year of high school, so since probably 2022.
Okay. I think Jerry got most of my questions. I think that's it for now.
You'll be accessing the property from Ripple Lane?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I did have one other question.
Yep.
So you're leasing space from Mr. Berube?
Yes, I will be, assuming the permit goes through and all that.
Thank you.
Keith? Sorry to make you last. I'll make you first next time.
No, that's fine. So you're gonna have no more than 4 cars in and out daily?
Yes,
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's enough parking, it says, for 4?
yes,
And then there'll be your car also, I take it? So
Yes.
that'll be 5?
roughly that. Normally, I average about 3 cars a day. It normally takes me about, on average, 3 hours per vehicle. So I'm pretty limited of what I can do in a day.
All right. So there's not gonna be a lot of traffic, really, other
No,
than
not at
that,
all.
in and out? Okay. That's all I have for questions.
Code enforcement.
Yep, I have 2 concerns that were brought to my attention. So this property we had listed in the village zone, but it's actually in a split zone. So we should address that where the zone line comes in. It's split between village and rural. And the table of land uses in section 9 requires a land area for non-residential and land area for residential. So my question to the board is, how have we addressed that in the past?
It's stated in here, actually, somewhere. It's hard to find about split zones through parcels.
Yep. I know about the split zones.
Oh.
We just need to know where the zone line is.
Do we know that from the tax map or not?
It's very unclear where it lies on the property.
How do we determine that?
I seem to recall, I thought that property was in the village zone.
It's if you look at is the zoning map on the wall down there?
That should be what I have. Do a scientific. I see. Okay, well, we gotta figure that one
Yeah, we'll
out.
figure that, we'll work on that.
And do you know how you've looked at the different land area requirements in the past?
Not offhand, though.
So the land use table says there's 80,000 square feet of land required for non-residential uses and 80,000 square feet of land for residential uses. So now we have a residence and a business, which would, if that applies, if they need 80,000 square feet for each, they would need 160,000 square feet of land area.
You think that's done as an aggregate?
I don't know how it's been interpreted in the past. It hasn't come up for me since I've been here, so.
So we'll probably need to have what's on that tax map now for, because there's like at least one rental, correct?
It's
One
an
or two
accessory
rentals.
dwelling, so that's considered one residence.
Right, that's
So 80,000 square feet for the single family and the accessory. Accessories don't require additional land area.
Correct.
So we have 2.91 acres.
I would like to say whoever put the application together did a good job. I thought it was one of the top ones we received first submission. So this is lot 1-1A-1.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the acreage. No, we don't have the acreage, 40,000, 2 acres.
So, you're saying is there's not enough square footage in the lot for both uses?
If we interpret that section that way, yes, but I did reach out to the attorney, and she asked me to ask the board how it's been interpreted in the past.
The attorney asked how we interpret it.
Asked me to ask you how it's been interpreted in the past.
I never come across it. Do you have any recollection of? No.
Nope.
So I guess our question back to her is, what is her determination?
What's her recommendation? Him?
ever coming up.
Well, that's, so if it is in the residential zone, then it's essentially a non-conforming lot.
It's not the residential. It's in village/rural.
And how does, I forget how that goes, is it where the larger parcel is and what zone it is?
If it's more than, for the life of me, I can't find that section, and I had a tag.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
If it's more than 2 acres, I believe, the zone is applied, the conditions are applied in the zone that it's in. Did I give it to you?
Sounds something about like that.
I thought of the,
When the lot is divided by a zoning district, the requirements and standards of this ordinance shall apply as follows. When the lot is equal to or less than 2 acres in area, the provisions of this ordinance, which apply to the larger portion of the lot, shall apply to the lot as a whole. When the lot is larger than 2 acres in area, the provisions of this ordinance, which apply to either portion of the lot, may be extended for a distance of up to 50 feet beyond the district boundary.
it's 2.9 acres. Correct?
So if it was in the residential zone, then it would be a non-conforming lot.
I don't,
Right.
If it's in the rural zone, it's a non-conforming lot.
Well, it's either, is it rural or?
village,
Village? The question is in the
mostly
village?
in village.
Village and rural?
Rural.
A village is a conforming lot or not?
That's a conforming lot in the village, because you need 80,000 square feet. Rural is,
Rural's 120,000.
rural
Excuse me,
is
200,000.
200.
200,000, excuse me.
Yeah.
Residential's 120.
It would be a non-conforming lot, which we have to go to Board of Appeals.
I think the first thing we need to do before we get wrapped around the axle on this is find out where the zone line is on the property,
Okay, let's do that.
which I think the burden of proof is on the applicant to tell us that. And if we disagree, then we would have to come up with some reasoning why we don't agree with their interpretation of the zone line.
Is
When I
that,
was looking at the map there, I think it clearly shows that it's in more village than residential. Like the parking lot towards Manzoli and Rick's Way was cut right through, and that was all where the residential was, and it's mostly the whole lot is village.
can you provide us with some documentation to back that up?
It was on the tax map that Patty showed us there. You could see it clearly going through the parking lot.
Is that part of your, let me see if I can.
I don't know if it's in, it might be in our application.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's-
I recall seeing a shaded thing in here.
It's not on the application here, but I know that Patty sent it to us, and you could clearly see it. But either way, we can get that information if we have to,
Okay.
sent
That
right
would-
over, anything we have to do, but I remember clearly seeing it, it's more in a village zone, so if it is more in a village zone, what would we have to do?
There's a document there.
Yeah, but it doesn't show the zones.
Doesn't show the zone, right. So if it's predominant, if the majority is in the village zone, how do we proceed?
We need to get an opinion on what those two requirements, land use requirements, mean.
Okay, so why don't you provide us with a clarification of where you think the zone is, your tax map, and then we'll get clarification from town council on those conditions of the ordinance and how they should be met. Okay?
Do we want to set a site walk between then and now to, just so we can do the site walk and they can get the zoning?
Does the board have any other additional questions for the applicant?
I don't say, I think the application is
Very thorough.
Very good job.
Looks like you'll have four, is that enough space to fit 4 cars in that garage?
Yes, absolutely.
And you, that's all 4 you clean 4 cars?
What was that, sorry?
So you'll be in, you're gonna have all 4 spots filled right up with cars and in and out and,
Yes.
cool.
Does the board feel we have sufficient information to set a site walk?
I think so.
Yeah.
Somebody
I
want to
knew
make?
this, you want to do it like 7
Same-
o'clock that same evening?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
yep. The 16th at 7 o'clock. Is that a viable option for you?
That's perfect.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to have a site walk for Kyle Estes application for conditional use, retail use, auto detailing, map 3, lot 1-1A-1 at 22 Ripple Lane for July 16th at 7 PM.
Second?
Motion by Scott, second by Greg to have a site walk on July 16th at 7 PM. All those in favor? Okay, we'll see you at 7 o'clock on the 16th.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, and we'll get clarification, if you could please clarify where you think your property lines are into relation to the tax map and to the zoning, we'll get clarification on that other item from town council.
Yeah, we can get that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Rob Morowski is applying for a conditional use to have a landscape business at map 3, lot 1-1A-1 at 22 Ripple Lane. Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you just tell us what you're planning on doing?
I own a property maintenance company. We do landscaping in the summertime, we do snow plowing in the winter. I've been in the business for the past 42 years. It basically entails coming in the morning around 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., grabbing the equipment, trucks, trailer, mowers, leaving, coming at it back at the end of the day, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, parking everything and going home. I generally have 4 employees in the summertime. They may or may not be parking their vehicles there. I encourage them to take equipment home with them so that they can start right from where they live. But there could occasionally be up to 4 vehicles parked on the premises that would be replacing the areas that we're taking equipment from to use for the day.
Okay. Heath, I'll let you go first.
All right. What did you say the hours would be again?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What was the hours again?
Generally, it's 7 a.m. to 5, 6 p.m.
All right.
In the wintertime, it tends to be a lot sooner, 8 in the morning till, 4 in the afternoon.
Well, I guess my next follow-up question on that would be like, with snow plowing and everything, I mean, are you gonna be getting in there at like 3 o'clock in the morning and disturbing the neighborhood? As far as-
Generally, anybody that's in the business for a long time, we don't wait till the storm starts to be ready. I tend to be ready during the day. I don't like preparing equipment in the middle of the snowstorm in the dark. So all my trucks will have plows on them, sanders on them, ready to go. We'll still go in, grab the equipment, and leave.
And I also see that you have actually quite a bit of equipment. There's plenty of room for storage for that?
Yep, yeah, plenty of room.
And this is the same lot that we were just discussing for Kyle, correct?
Yes.
It's the same lot.
Yes, it's a very large lot.
Okay. No further questions?
Scott?
Thank you. Rob, just on your answers, if you could just update what your work hours, because you had 8 4 on average start day, which, yeah, I thought that was kind of late for a start from landscaping, so
Yeah, I wish I,
days have gone.
you're right, you're right. My day starts at around 5 a.m. and ends at around 9. Unfortunately, I can't get people to work for me to start at those hours, so,
Yep. Yeah, so you'll just need to put what hours you intend to work.
yeah, that's generally when we work.
Okay, and the number of days, and all this equipment's gonna be left outside, or is it gonna be underneath the roof?
No, it'll be left outside. You know, it was one of the reasons why I was interested in this lot was it's a very secure, secluded. In places that I've been to in the past, theft was an issue. So I was looking for something that was gonna be safe.
Can I ask
Out
you-
of the way, quiet. I don't like, people
Right.
nosing around.
Can I ask you where your clientele base is at?
We service all of southern Maine from Lewiston, Auburn, Sabattis, Thompson, Brunswick, all the way down to Kennebunk, Wells, Sanford. I handle 52 major clients throughout southern Maine.
Oh, good for you. So some of those are commercial?
Everyone's
All
commercial.
commercial.
We don't do any retail. There'll be nobody coming to the business. There'll be nobody there for them to, to talk to, but it's not that type of business.
Thank you.
Yep.
Roger?
Just judging by the auto detailing picture here, so it looks like you're just going to be having your equipment outside, stored outside. You're not going to be using a garage bay. You're just off to once.
Yeah, we do have a garage bay. We use it for storage.
Okay.
Occasionally I may have to change blades. Generally once a week I change the blades on the mower. It's nice to have a place inside, out of the rain, that I can do that in. But it's mostly just for storage of equipment. I can keep all my backpack blowers, trimmers, anything that I don't want to get out in the weather. If it doesn't have to be, I'll keep it inside. Trucks, trailers, they can stay outside.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Greg?
Most of your trucks will be gone in the winter,
Yeah,
staying at employees' homes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We service our clients 24 hours a day with salting services, so they need to be able to hop in a truck at a moment's notice, not drive 45 minutes to the shop to hop in a truck to drive
Right.
back out.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
How many, just offhand, and I'm not holding you to this number, how many trucks, are they pickup trucks, are they dualies, are they 10-wheelers?
I have two dual-wheeled 1-tons,
Okay, yep,
and everything else is pickups.
pickups, and how many trucks do you have?
We run 7 to 10, depending on the season.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that snowplow and mowing?
In the summertime, usually we're running 3 vehicles, and the rest of them are parked.
Okay, and you have trailers with,
Right,
to haul the
and
mowers?
each truck has a trailer, each trailer has a mower.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the summer, you would, and I'm not holding you, limiting you, I'm just curious, in the summer, you would have probably 3 trucks with trailers,
Right.
and in the wintertime, you would have, how many trucks?
7 to 10 trucks are
trucks.
available to use
Okay.
for snow plowing and sanding operations.
Are you planning on storing any salt sand on the property?
Not at this time, but at some point in the future, it would be something I'd be looking forward to be able to do. Saves us money and travel time, and
Okay, because if you do that, then it's gonna have to be somehow contained
right.
on the
We have to
property.
check and see if that is even an option because it's on an
That might not be
aquifer.
allowed, because of the aquifer.
We haven't
Right.
checked that at all yet, so that's something we would have to look at.
Okay.
As of right now, I buy my salt from suppliers that I can just go
Are you
at a
storing,
moment's notice and pick
are you
up.
storing bark mulch?
I use bark mulch for a month or two during the beginning of the summer to service our clients, and I put it on my trailers, and then I drive around and I do the,
Yeah.
each property.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But you generally don't have a large stockpile of...
No, I try to get just what I need, like, we'll buy a load, I'll get 50 yards.
Right.
And we'll blow through it, you know, over a 3-week period, 4-week period, and then that's it for the year, we don't use anymore.
Gravel?
No.
Pesticides?
No hardscaping at all, no pesticides. When I do weed killer, we use an all-natural, because it's required by our clients. It's vinegar and dishwashing liquid and salt.
Okay.
So it's,
No Roundup or
nope, no Roundup at all.
PCP or whatever?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm all set. Staff or code enforcement, do you have any questions? Or Scott, I'm sorry.
No, they all set down there?
Yeah.
Will you be doing any vehicle maintenance, any of your own fleet maintenance at this location?
No, I generally, probably the biggest thing is I don't have time. So I have a couple of companies that I just drop trucks off at and grab another truck, and it's same thing with the mowers. Other than normal, you know, maintenance like changing the blades, I have companies that we hire out to service all our equipment. I drop them off, I pick up there, they let me use a backup mower, and we go back to work because I'm working 5-6 days a week, so.
So I would just want to follow up that vehicle maintenance is prohibited on an aquifer, so we might condition it that you cannot work on your vehicles there.
Yep.
I don't know that changing a mower blade would be considered vehicle maintenance, but the trucks and the trailers and such, so that might be a condition the board.
Yes.
I mean,
would
even
find.
things, we do things, even, you know, in the past, when I ran it out of my house, I did oil changes, grease jobs on the trucks, change alternators, but we don't have time anymore, so the guys need an oil change. Every 5,000, I send them over to Jiffy Lube. They run the truck through them, and they let them do it.
Okay.
You know, it's just,
Well, just be wary that the property has some restrictions
sure.
on the use that come with it. Okay. Does the board feel we have sufficient information to set a site walk?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to schedule a site walk for July 16th at 7:15 PM.
Second.
For application of conditional use of landscape business, map 3, lot 1-1A-122 Ripple Lane.
I have a motion by Scott and a second by Craig. All those in favor? Okay, so
Does that work for you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
we'll take care of the young gentleman first, and then we'll take care of you on the 16th.
Sounds great.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Again, good application.
Can I ask a question about the sidewalks?
Yes?
It may not be totally appropriate to ask here, but, so I think there's some protection orders involved.
Yep,
Sidewalks are public meetings, correct?
yep.
Does anybody have any objection to anybody that may be subject to a protection order or a harassment order going to the sidewalk?
I think that would be a legal question, wouldn't it?
I don't think we can prohibit. It's a public meeting. I don't think we have the right to prohibit.
I don't have an issue with anybody coming on the site walk at all. As long as there's no pictures being taken or anything like that, I'm very fine. We keep a professional establishment over there, so more than welcome.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay,
This, so I know, Brian, the planning board may take some pictures. We sometimes take pictures on our site walks to refer to later on.
do you have an issue with the planning board taking pictures?
No, that's fine.
Okay. You do have an issue with other people taking pictures?
It's fine too. Yes, I do have an issue with other people taking
Okay.
pictures. Planning board members is fine.
But according to you, you don't have an issue with the general public, whoever they are, coming onto the property?
No,
Regardless of who they are?
no,
Okay, all right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is an application for a one-lot subdivision, map 9, lot 5C, 17 Miso Way. Mrs. Christine Paul available tonight. I don't see the applicant, so we'll move on. CEO report.
It's busy.
It's what?
Busy, that's all I have to report.
Busy, okay. Approval of minutes for June 24th, 2024.
I didn't have any issues with them as they were written. So I'll make a motion to accept them as written.
Have a motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Craig to accept the minutes for June 24th. All those in favor? Everybody was here, correct? Yep.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is approval of bills. Mr. Treasurer.
I make a motion to pay this invoice of $50.01 for the public hearing for the Dearborn Family 14-lot subdivision. That was in the Press Herald.
Second?
I have a motion by Scott, a second by Roger, to approve the amount of $68.55 for the public hearing on July 8th. All those in favor?
Point of order.
Yes.
The bill is, I'm not sure what you see, but the agenda says $68.
$68.55?
$68.55
I was reading what was on the
on the bill?
bill that I'm signing.
Did you say, what did you say for a price?
$68.55.
Said 50,
I said, it says $50.01. That's why I kind of leaned and looked over.
Do you want to amend your motion, please, Mr. Treasurer?
We know what it is.
$68.55, is that correct?
Well, it's,
That's what I have here.
right, the invoice I'm reading has $50, which usually they are more than that, after the 60-something. Was it a discount month?
No.
Press Herald?
BOGO.
Don't think so.
so this isn't the actual bill, I don't think. This is the quote for the estimate. I'm not sure why the difference on the agenda compared to this.
Do you want to
Yep.
postpone until next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
Retract your motion?
retract my motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll
I
clarify that.
have no invoice this month, this week.
Communications. I don't have any communications in my folder. Other business, discussion of MMA workshop. I think Roxanne or Patty sent us a email about a workshop, which was July
30th, yep,
30th
Yes.
in Freeport.
yep.
And I responded that I would like to attend. Scott, I think you would like to attend?
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
you would like to attend? Oh, we can carpool.
What time is it? That's my big thing.
I think it's at
can't
4,
remember.
isn't
I
it?
read
At 4 o'clock.
Didn't bring it with me.
At 4 o'clock, I
4
believe.
o'clock. It's
Registration's at 4 to 4.
4 to 7, dinner included. It's at the Hilton Garden Inn in Freeport.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
The other side of the world.
I know.
Yeah, sign me up.
Roger?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely
All right.
interested.
So we'll figure out the carpool options, or we can rent a limo or something. Or we can go in the bug.
We take the buggy.
Yeah. All right, so are we clear that everybody would like to attend?
Yep,
Okay. And you'll register us?
And the date on that one again, just sorry.
July 30th, I'm
July
99%
it is
sure.
July 30th.
Okay,
Tuesday, and it starts from 4 and it goes to 7.
perfect.
And it's MMA. And I think it's 2 lawyers? I can't remember.
Yep, 2 presenters.
Did you get, do you have?
I got the email.
You got, well then look up your email. It'll-
Yeah, I remember there was a little confusion, 20th, 30th, and I just.
That was my
That was
senior moment.
That was Scott.
Yeah, okay, cool, so
Yeah.
it is the
Saturday for
30th.
Scott now.
Every day's
Yeah.
a Saturday now.
Right.
Times are tough.
You retire, you lose track of the days. attendees want to address the board? Anybody like to speak to the board?
Yes.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't remember me, my name is Tammy LaBelle. I was here 63 days ago.
Okay.
I was one of the abutters of an application that was brought before you.
Yep.
The application was delayed and delayed and delayed and what have you, and you guys put some conditions on the conditional use permit. And per your conditions, per the being an abutter,
Chicken coop.
there have been, thank you,
Okay.
there have been no changes.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm sorry. It took me a
And-
little while to catch up.
No,
where we
that's
were.
okay.
Yeah.
So I know on your first thing that, of your conditions,
Yep.
it was no change from the condition of approval is permitted unless an amended plan is first submitted to you folks and approved on by you folks.
Yep.
So my first question is, did you folks receive anything? And did you
Nope.
not approve it, and is that why nothing has happened?
We don't, once an application goes through, that basically goes to the code enforcement office.
Okay?
I don't,
So, I can say that he is not complied with the conditions and that he was told at the end of last week that his options were to apply for an extension or to get rid of the birds.
Okay.
And to apply, how long is that an indefinite? He can apply, reapply what, in 6 years? I mean,
I
what's
believe
the
my correspondent said he needed to apply before it actually expired or get rid of the birds. Because you
Apply
can't,
to apply to us,
for an extension,
an extension.
and if it has expired, he can't apply for an extension and he'll have to
I-
get rid of the birds.
I personally don't know anything about this, and we normally don't, as a board, hear issues that the code enforcement office
Okay.
deals with. But thank you for notifying us, and
Well-
we'll look into it.
And I brought it to you because of the first thing on your conditions was for them to report back to you so that you could approve.
No, report back to the code enforcement office.
All right, well then, my
She's in
mistake
char-
in your
she's-
minutes, it didn't say that, it didn't
She's in
clarify that.
charge of enforcing the conditions that we put on conditional uses.
Okay.
I have no authority whatsoever to tell him what to do.
Sure.
Nor does Craig or Roger, anybody. The administrative authority of the town of Buxton,
Okay.
who's the code enforcement officer,
Sure, I
has the
respect that.
authority and the ability to enforce the conditions of approval that the planning board approved.
Okay.
Okay.
And when was that extension? I mean, how long does he have to apply?
Until it expires, which was 60 days?
Yes, that was, yes, today is, what did I
3
say,
days.
63 days.
Yep, okay.
So that would mean, Patty, then to you, that he now no longer qualifies to apply for an extension?
Correct.
And so his only,
Told he needed to apply for an extension before it expires or get rid of the birds.
okay, and that expired on Friday. So, and here we are today, Monday. So then what is the next recourse, if I may
To
ask?
get rid of the birds.
And so what is my next recourse? What is the time frame of doing such an act?
He's already been told he needs to get rid of the birds if it timeframe expired.
I'm going to limit this because this is really a discussion between you and the code enforcement office and really
Okay.
has nothing to do with the planning board.
Sure. Can
But
I meet with you afterwards, Patty? Would that
Not
be-
tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a long enough day. You can set an appointment tomorrow. You
Okay.
can call in and make an appointment, but he's gonna be told to get rid of the birds, immediately. And I'm sure we'll find out if he's not doing that, and we will keep after him. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for coming in. Yeah, I just want you to understand how the process works.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
If we knew about what every applicant was doing in town, we'd be in a lot
Like I
of
said,
trouble.
I apologize. It's the
No, that's
minutes
okay.
didn't
That's fine.
specify, so-
That's
Yep.
fine. The
Well,
proper
thank you
venue
for
is
coming
through
in.
the code enforcement office.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else like to address the public? I mean, the board, excuse me,
That too.
from the public.
Or both, I mean, they're here too.
We're all part of the public.
Yeah.
Jason Roginski, Buxton, abutter to 22 Berube Lane, Ripple Lane, where this two businesses are trying to get applications for. My biggest question is what Patty already brought up is the 80,000 square feet for non-residential and 80,000 for the residents. Nowhere in this zoning ordinance of Buxton says that you can reduce the acreage for a non-residential use. So I'm just wondering, I'm just kind of wondering why you scheduled a site walk when we don't even know if these businesses.
We're
can go
going to
there.
get input from town council on that question there.
But
Yeah,
I know it's town council, but how is the judge, because this is probably going to go to court. I'm just, like, not from me, but probably Berube or his thing, because how is a judge going to interpret this?
I have no idea.
I think in terms of the zoning itself, I think one, we need to narrow down exactly the square footage on each one. And so we put that on
So
him.
my other issue is allowing Berube to prove where the line is. He has not proven himself to be, in my opinion, a trustworthy person. So what happens if I don't agree with his line of where it is? I have to pay to have that done or to dispute his? I feel that it should fall,
Is a
like, the
survey-
town of Buxton should have a zoning line as part of our tax dollars to know where businesses can go, where the zoning line is, where that is on the lot, because this completely changes everything with that lot. If this isn't rural, these businesses are not allowed to go there. And I can't trust what he's going to come up with as.
We're relying on the tax maps and the maps that we have here.
So how is he going to interpret that, though? How is he going to figure out where that line is?
I don't know. And we'll look into it too. I mean, sure, Patty will look into, see if she can come up with a determination where that line is too.
We don't, unless, we don't have the resources
No,
to
we
spend
don't.
money on that
Right.
for an application or in a butter.
Right.
So maybe putting it on the applicant to shoulder that load, maybe like a survey wise, and then,
So he has to hire an independent person to do that. He can't just go and draw, like, get out a ruler and go, well, I'm going to scale it down on this scale and this scale. He's going to actually have to hire a professional person to do that.
We didn't tell him that. If we disagree with what he gives us, we will tell him
well,
that.
and the other thing too is in scheduling the site walk, it gives us a chance to observe the property, gather any questions that we may have, and now that's brought to our attention, so.
Is your property rural or village?
Mine's in village,
You're in the village?
yes.
Okay.
But I believe the way that I look at it on that line, I see where Ripple Lane ends, and it's partly in the rural or residential zone, I don't remember which one, and the rest of it's in, like, just this little, is in
Right.
village. So-
Unfortunately, unlike the property pins and
Yep.
monumentation that is done on property, there's no physical monumentation done for the zoning map.
Right,
Follow
but they
me?
can use, you can use the scale, and they can get someone else to scale it, and you can use roads and things that are
Yep.
fixed points that aren't going anywhere.
Right.
To do
That's
that.
what we're gonna do, Roger. I mean, it's up to the applicant to prove where it is, and then we'll
Okay.
kind of review it.
And if we don't think that's correct, then we maybe ask him to have a survey done by a registered surveyor.
And then my other issue is with the car detailing. There obviously is water produced when you wash a car. And I do believe, I'm in contact with the DEP, whether he needs a subsurface wastewater disposal license, because he is discharging more than normal amount of water with chemicals in it. I don't care if they're natural chemicals. I mean, oil is a natural substance, but would you want to drink it? And the other issue is with the landscaping company, I mean, both of these businesses are already operating on the property, and they have stop work orders, and they're still operating on the property, so I don't understand why that's happening.
That would be a question for the Board of Selectmen or the code enforcement?
Not the Board of Selectmen.
No, the code enforcement.
There was a stop work order issued. They, the car detailing, there was, and we should not be talking about this. This should be a public
Yeah,
hearing
that
thing.
really,
Okay.
yeah.
But
I guess what we're going to say is we're going to review the application to the best of our ability.
Okay.
All the information that we're looking at is available to the public.
Yep.
I encourage you to be involved in the process.
Yep.
And I encourage you also to come to the site walk and voice your concerns and follow the process as we go through.
So I just have one more question though about,
I'm going to limit pretty much what you're talking about until the applicant is here.
Okay.
It needs to be fair for them to hear what you're saying and to respond to your concerns.
Okay.
There'll be plenty of times to comment on the application as we go through the process.
okay.
We
Okay.
do appreciate the input.
Are there going to be any meetings in July of the planning board?
No.
No,
Okay.
not
so I
until
don't-
August
I have-
12th.
I'm going to be away from part of July.
Next meeting is August
12th.
12th.
And the site walk is the July
16th.
I'll
16th.
be there for the site walk, but I'm going to be away part of July. I was hoping that you weren't.
There are
having
no more planning board meetings in July.
Okay,
Okay?
excellent.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next. You all good? You happy? What's that?
All right.
Anything
I'll
else?
make a motion to adjourn at 8:50.
Second.
Roger said.